Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello again, grade 9 students. I hope you are all okay. Our lesson today is 8D, Speak and Write A and B. Students book, page 90. Here we go. First, let's have a look at our learning objectives for today. By the end of this lesson, students will be able to first, express opinion, agreement, or disagreement about computer games. Second, we are going to identify the layout of a game review. And third, we are going to identify some language features used to write a game review. Could you please open your student's book, page 90. Speaking. 3. Speak. Talk in groups. Choose a computer, video, mobile, etc. game you have all played and take the appropriate box in this table, to give your opinion of each of the features, these features. So you are going to take the correct box according to what you think of plot, which means the events in the game, graphics, which means the images, the points, the lines, the motion, and so on in the game. Difficulty. How difficult is the game? What do you think? Take the correct box. Fun. Does the game have fun? Tick the box. Adventure. Does the game have action? Does it have problem-solving situations? And so on. Then discuss your answers with your group members. Use some of the adjectives in the yellow box, so you can use these adjectives to describe the plot, graphics, difficulty, fun, and adventure. For example, you can say that the plot is spectacular, the graphics are excellent, it is challenging. As for fun, you can say it's hilarious. As for adventure, you can say it has some unexpected events, for example. You can also say it is incredible. So this is what you are going to do now. Now let's have a look at this box, which shows someone's opinion of a game he has recently played. As for plot, he thinks the plot is brilliant or excellent. As for graphics, he thinks the graphics are spectacular, fantastic. As for difficulty, he thinks the game is challenging, as he has given 5 to difficulty. As for fun, he thinks it's hilarious. He has given 5 here. And as for adventure, he thinks it is challenging. So this is what you are going to do, to fill in the box and to describe the game using these adjectives. Now let's have a look at this dialogue. It is an example of two students giving their opinion of a game. Let's read it. The first said, I thought the graphics in the game were brilliant. And the other one replied saying, I disagree. I found them unrealistic, but I really liked the plot. So what you are going to do now is to make similar dialogue between you and imagine that one of your friends is with you. Go ahead, please. Now let's complete the following conversations. The first one, say, I thought the difficulty in the game was incredible. Now think of any game you have recently played. Do you agree with him? Do you disagree? Why? Now let's have this reply. B might say, I agree. I found it challenging. I really liked it. Now let's have another conversation. A might say, I thought the plot in this game was interesting. Now what about you? Do you agree with him? What could you say? Let's have a look. I disagree. I found it disappointing. I didn't like it. So here we have two conversations. In the first one, B agrees with A, saying, I agree. And he gives more examples saying that it is challenging. In number 2, B disagrees with A, justifying his answer, saying that it is disappointing. Now, could you please pause the video and try to make similar conversations? Go on, please. Now, let's go to Students' Book, page 90, discuss. Let's have this question. In your opinion, what makes a game successful? Plot, graphics, difficulty, what do you think? What do you think the most important features that make the game successful? Great. Some might say an interesting plot, spectacular graphics, its ability to entertain. Great answer. Now let's have this question. Do you read game reviews? Are you influenced by them? Why or why not? There are many reviews about the games. In these reviews, those who wrote the reviews tell us about the game. Now, what about you? Do you read those game reviews? Do they influence you? Are you influenced by them? Why or why not? What do you think? Now let's have these two suggested answers. Some might say yes, because they tell me about the game. I'm sometimes influenced by them. So some of you might be influenced by these game reviews because these game reviews tell them about the game. Whereas others might say no, because I don't like to know anything before playing a game. I'm rarely influenced by them. So some of you might be influenced by game reviews and they read them, whereas others might not be influenced by these game reviews. Well done, students. Now let's have a look at some helpful information that may help you write a game review. First, let's have a look at some types of games. There are different types of games, some of which are action, adventure, sci-fi, which means science fiction, war, sport, racing, educational, online, simulation, and single player. Now let's have a look at the game features, the features that might make the game successful. For example, plot, motion, graphics, difficulty, narration, sound effects, and background music. Again, Students' Book, page 90. Read the following review and answer the questions. This review. So now we are going to read this review. After we listen to it together, then you are going to answer these questions. First, let's have a look at these questions. Question number 1 says, what kind of information is included in the first paragraph? This paragraph. What does the writer include in this paragraph? Number 2, in which paragraph does the writer describe how the game is played? In which of these paragraphs does the writer describe how the game is played, how to play the game? What tense does the writer use to describe how the game is played? Does the writer use the present tense, the past tense, the present perfect tense? What tense does the writer use to describe how the game is played? Question number 4. Did the writer like the game? Number 5. In which paragraph does the writer express his opinion? Where can we find the writer's opinion? In which paragraph? And the last question, what kind of language does the writer use? Does he use formal language, neutral language, or informal language? Give some examples. Now let's listen to this game review. Listen, please.
4. Right. Desert Farmer. Computer Game Review by Zoe Winters. Desert Farmer is a free online game which came out last year. It is set in a dry area of Africa and focuses on what it is like to be a farmer in the developing world. It is an educational and very original game which teaches players strategy. Also, it helps them to understand what life is like for people and what problems they have in these areas. Gamers begin with £50, a piece of land and a family, a husband and wife and 2 children. Every year, decisions are made about whether to use the land to grow crops or keep animals. They also have to decide how to spend the money, who is going to help on the farm and how, etc. Unfortunately, many of the problems that real farmers may face, such as illnesses, lack of water, and serious financial problems, are also experienced. They need to have a strategy to manage the farm, and they have to change their strategy in order to survive. I really enjoyed playing the game, and I found the problems I had to face and the decision-making quite interesting. The computer graphics were impressive, and the situations felt very realistic. It is a fun and simple simulation game which I recommend for all the family.
Now, could you please pause the video and try to find answers for the questions we discussed before? Go ahead. Now let's answer the first question. What kind of information is included in the first paragraph? What do you think? Wonderful. Some general information about the game, for example, title or type of the game. Let's see what the writer has mentioned here. He first tells us the title of the game, and then he tells us what type of game it is. So if you want to write a game review in your first paragraph, you should give some general information about the game which you are talking about. Now let's go to question number 2. In which paragraph does the writer describe how the game is played? What do you think? Excellent. In paragraph number 2. Let's see what the writer has told us about the description of how the game is played. He starts by saying gamers begin with 50 pieces of land and a family. He also said that they also have to decide how to spend the money, and he added saying they need to have a strategy to manage the farm. So you can describe how the game is played in the second paragraph. So let's say again that in the first paragraph you give some general information about the game, and in the second paragraph you should describe how the game is played. This is what you should do when writing a game review. Now let's go to question number 3. What tense does the writer use to describe how the game is played? Could you please go back to the second paragraph and try to find out what tense the writer uses to describe the game is played? What do you think? Excellent. He uses the present simple. For example, the writer said begin. Then he said decisions are made. Then he said they also have, and they need to have. So if you want to write a game review, and if you want to describe how the game is played, you should use present simple, because present simple is used for descriptive topics. Don't forget this. Use present simple tense to write or how the game is played. And now question number 4. Did the writer like the game? What do you think? Great. Yes, he did. How do we know? Because in the last paragraph he said, I really enjoyed playing the game. So, if you want to write a game review, you should include your opinion or whether you liked or you don't like the game in the third paragraph. Well done, students. Now let's go to question number 5. In which paragraph does the writer express your opinion? What do you think? Excellent. In paragraph number 3. This one. And these are the sentences which show the writer's opinion. She said, I really enjoyed playing the game. She also said that the computer graphics were impressive. And she also said that she recommended the game for all the family. So if you write a game review, don't forget to express your opinion in paragraph number 3. And you should also say whether you recommend it or not. Now, question number 6. What kind of language does the writer use? Formal, neutral, or informal? Give some examples. What do you think? Wonderful. The writer uses a neutral language. For example, he said, Desert Farmer is a free online game which came out last year. He also said it is an educational and very original game which teaches players strategy. He added saying they also have to decide how to spend the money who is going to help on the farm and how. So these are some examples that tell us that the writer used a neutral language. So if you want to write a game review, you should use a neutral language, not formal or informal language. And here we arrived at the end of our lesson. Thank you for watching. See you later.